Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. We are back. And you know what else is back? Football. This is the Alarm Fantasy Football. I am Andrew Cooper. He's Howard Bender. And guess what? 2 days from now, count them, 2 NFL football goes live. Are you ready, Bender? Are you fired up, dude? All the teams in? You have any more drafts? I have one more.
I have one more tonight. I have the Welcome to the Family draft, which is it's for new subscribers out there who have joined up with us. So I've got that draft tonight, and I think and I have one draft tomorrow. Apparently, it just got sprung on me. A buddy of mine just texted me, and he's like, "Yo, I don't know what you're doing tomorrow, but I think you're drafting." So I think I got one more going on tomorrow, but dude, I am so pumped up. And I know, listen, I see everybody in the chat right now in there, right? Ann Dunn, Skinny McKinney, Jerry Nelson, Luke Costello, everybody is joining us. Josh Coles, who I just been doing an FFPC Superflex best ball draft with. So I mean, there's lots happening here for the football season, and I get to bring you the first DFS watch list of the year. That's coming out later today.
The much anticipated DFS watch list. I know you've been up late, lighting the lamp, dipping the ink pen quill into the little ink bottle, just crossing names and staying up late, man. I know you've been all over, man. So I'm very excited to see what the final product's going to look like going in here. Not a lot of news going on, just to share with you guys. Gabe Davis actually just signed with the Buffalo Bills today, so he is back in Buffalo.
Welcome
just
back, Gabe.
Yeah, you know what? It's like he'll just be an extra body there, probably competing. If he's going to compete, it'll be with the Elijah Moore and Josh Palmer group. You know what I mean? He's just going to be a field stretcher, try and be one of those type guys. So unless there's news on some sort of injury, I don't think it moves the needle much. Just a familiar face in town, so we'll see there. Here's what we're doing today. Real quick at the start of the show, we're going to do a quick $11 Sunday whale over on Drafters. This contest was brought to my attention. They do like a quick 5-person draft. It's like a DFS type thing. Actually, we have 4 of 5 in it right now. So if anybody out there, I see Hamburglar, I see Luke, I see Icy, any of you guys, if you want to jump in with us and get this thing firing, that would be great. It's the $11 NFL Sunday whale over on Drafters. How that works is you go in, it's a 5-team snake draft, and you're basically just drafting a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex for week 1. So it's a weekly contest, 1 week only, $25,000 in prizes, $4,000 to first place. So we're going to do one of those at the start of the show here, and then we're going to get into the main part of the show that I'm very excited about. Is your drafts are done, everything's in, everything's set. There might be some gems left on the wire. So we're going to go through and talk about the top ads. We're going to talk about possible streamers if you need them. We're going to talk about the guys you want to have stashed on your bench for upside down the stretch, so you can do a little last minute tinkering with your lineups and stuff. As always, in the chat, feel free to ask questions. If you're looking at it and you're saying, "Hey, I got this guy. Should I drop him for any of the guys you guys are mentioning?" Let us know, and we'll get it set up for you. We already have one question here from Mac White, Howard. Question here: 12-team PPR with a deep-ish bench. Who'd you rather stash? Bayshul Tootin, Chris Rodriguez, or Dameon Pierce?
Ooh. I look at this situation here, and I think probably Tootin is the one that I want to kind of stash away. I mean, we know what Chris Rodriguez is, right? We know he's a short yardage guy. Maybe he handles some goal line work, but you're sitting there with Jaden Daniels as your quarterback. So how much goal line work are you really going to see when Jaden Daniels has the ball in his hands? Dameon Pierce, he's one of those guys who just never kind of goes away, and he's waiver wire fodder. Now, I get it. Joe Mixon, we don't know when he's going to be back. Nick Chubb, maybe he's lost a step. Woody Marks, he's a rookie. I don't necessarily know if I want to lean on Dameon Pierce, because I think that if you're sitting here as a stash, you want the upside. You want the value down the way. And I don't think there's value for Dameon Pierce down the way. Does Tootin stand the chance of carving out a role for himself? I think he does in this offense. He is the guy that this regime has drafted, so I think that there's something that you can kind of lay in there.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's Tuden for me, and Rodriguez is probably the next best because again, we don't know for sure, but Vegas still is leaning into uh, Bill, Jacory, Krosky, Merritt being the starter, and Austin Eckler being the pass down back. So it's it's possibly cards on the roll there, but Tuden is definitely the biggest, highest risk, highest reward one. And when we talk about the word stash, that's the guy I want to have there. That's why we kind of separate this year. What I'm doing with the waiver article, uh, based on the feedback we got, is there's going to be one article that's going to just be your main waiver ads, the guys that are floating around in 50% or less of leagues, probably like 30, 40% or so, the main guys you want to target. And then the second article for just the Fantasy Alarm members, that's going to be consolidated into one article. It's going to be streamers and stashes. And we're going to look at guys that are, lower owned, but that you can use for 1 week. Those are your streamers. And then your stashes are going to be those high risk, reward bench plays. We're talking about handcuffs. We're talking about guys on the IR, guys that don't really have a lot of value right now, but could blow up in a big way if something happens. I mean, think about guys like Trey McBride, uh, rookie Amon-Ra St. Brown took a long time to break out, was basically useless until week 11, those type of plays. So we're going to talk about that today. So while we're waiting for this thing to fire off, you want to jump in and maybe talk about quarterbacks real quick?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I definitely do. And again, if you guys are watching here and you want to try and jump in on this contest, again, it's the $11 Sunday Week One whale. I can throw you a little bit of a QR code here, right? Maybe take advantage of it right now while you can. Zap that QR code or go to fantasyalarm.com/draftersbb. What they'll do is you use the promo code alarm. They'll give you an instant deposit match up to $100, and then you can jump into this contest with me and Coop if you're able to. So QR code right there. There's also one over Coop's shoulder. If he were to hit a slam dunk right now with the basket in his,
Oh,
yeah, there it is. Oh, the other way. You just just a bit outside. Are you trying to defend me? Are you
I'm
ready?
doing the monster mash. Oh, get up. Not out of here.
Do a
All right.
little Michael Jackson
All right.
Thriller dance. Is
While
that
we
what you're
were just
trying
dancing
to?
and playing basketball, whatever we were doing, the contest actually did fail. So if you wanted to draft with us, you missed it. We're up and running here. Let me get some zoom action on this puppy to see if, oh, yeah, that's going to be real nice. 5 teams, uh, everybody taking a peek. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
You know what's funny is I haven't even done my full week one research yet. So that's gonna be interesting to see how I'm gonna end up picking this team and making that magic happen there, huh? How am I gonna end up doing this,
Yeah,
Coop?
it looks like quarterbacks in the ADP here going high. I don't know why that's the case.
Because
I'm
you
going to
want
take
to make sure that you get your QB.
I think running backs are going to be in a format like this. Running backs are going to be at a big time premium. I'm going to take Bijan Robinson.
Bijan Robinson. Okay. All right, listen, that makes sense, right? But he's running up against Tampa Bay. Is that really, the direction that you wanted to go? So I'm looking
Yeah,
at some of these matchups here, and I'll tell you what, I think we're gonna start off real nice this week. Let's just grab Jaden Daniels. He's got the Giants. I get it. They've got a pretty good defense there, but Jaden Daniels against the G-Men week one at home. I'm gonna lock in on that part right there.
I love it. See, that's the thing is that there's a lot of strategy that goes into these that I didn't really think about beforehand. But if you start doing the math, there's only going to be 5 quarterbacks. Looks like 8 rounds here, so you're going to have a couple bench players, right? Or not? No, it's just your lineup that you're drafting. That's it.
It's your lineup, buddy.
So yeah, so it's like there's 2 ways to look at it. There's kind of 4 high-end quarterbacks in our estimation that you want to get one of, or you could look at it and say, hey, there's a ton of quarterbacks out there. I'll just take one in the last round. So um, interesting thought process. I'll tell you, taking Jane Daniels is smart because the Bills and the Ravens play each other this week, and that might not be great for both those quarterbacks. So smart move there. I'm going to wait a little bit, see what we run into. Christian McCaffrey was the top ranked guy over here, and also hard to not necessarily rank him as a 1, 2, 3 option now that the dust settles. It's funny how this happens every single year. Like, the draft happens, and we're going into all these hype picks and all these guys. But then when it's time to actually rank people for week one, it's really hard to sit back and say, yeah, I'm going to rank Travion Henderson where I drafted him. You know what I mean? Like for me, you go in and you look at where everybody's ranking a guy like Alvin Kamara. I mean, people believe that he's going to go out and be at least and offer at least a floor. Rankings for weekly a lot of times lean more into floor than upside. So it's kind of interesting how it goes here. So for those just listening, Bijan Robinson, Jaden Daniels, Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson, Jamar Chase to start it off, Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry. Now the Chase guy, he can probably pretty easily stack him with Joe Burrow, right? I mean, the rest of us can take Burrow, right?
Going up against Cleveland, I'll tell you what, that's going to be the interesting game right there. Cleveland, Cincinnati, Joe Flacco slinging the rock. We know that Cincinnati defense is not very good. So the question is do you look at that and you say, you know what, I can probably, maybe I even wait on QB. Maybe I even wait, and take a couple of outside chance guys. I got my eye on a few here. Interesting to see where I'm going to go with this next pick here, because you actually brought up a name that I really like, and I'm actually going to, I don't know if it's necessarily a reach, but I know that you might be eyeballing him, and that is Trevion Henderson. In a PPR format, Trevion Henderson, with the way Josh McDaniels is lining him up against a former team that he coached, come on. I'll take Trevion Henderson here. Right? Because this is basically like building a DFS lineup. This is not building a season-long sort of a thing. So you got to change the way you're thinking and the way your thought process is.
Yeah. Also, I can't even find some players in here. What the heck?
I don't know.
Where's the search button? Oh, there it is.
It's right up top where it says SEAR.
Why can't I find CeeDee Lamb? I guess I'll take Devon Achane.
Because it's only the
it's only the main slate. That's why.
Only the main slate, buddy.
All right. Well, I'm back on the clock here, and I'm going to take. I'm going to get a little positional. No, I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and just take the guy that I think has the best possibility to blow up, which is Nico Collins. Nico Collins is the guy that we worry about. He gets faded based on injuries and things like that, but it's a good matchup for him, and it's week one, so I'm not worried about injuries. Same thing with a guy like Christian McCaffrey. Like, if you were fading him because you're worried that somewhere along the line he's going to get hurt, that's fine. Don't fade him in DFS. Don't fade him in a 1 week draft, right?
You know who stinks? The Saints stink. Trey McBride, gonna enjoy using that. I'm gonna go with the tight end spot here. I think that's probably the best matchup. I mean, listen, Kittle, Bowers, they're great and everything, but I love the soft matchup here for Trey McBride. And if Kyler Murray is going through his progressions and he needs to fall back onto something that he's used to, maybe Trey McBride in week one is his guy.
Yeah, these are great. I'm going to do a bunch of these, dude.
I'm going to do so many of these. Thank you, drafters. Remember, it's fantasyalarm.com/draftersbb. Get in on some of these contests. Use the promo code ALARM. Get that match deposit for sure.
Oh, see, Jonathan Taylor, I was hoping he would come back to me. Jonathan Taylor, it's like he has a chance to be the RB1 easily this week. I mean, it's hard not to rank him super high going up against the Colts. And that game quietly has an over-under of like 47.5 points. Like, Vegas is looking at it and say, not a lot of defense. Team's got some weapons on offense. Same thing, same thought process with the Dolphins. It's like, sure, injury-prone guys, but, that's a season-long problem, not a weekly problem. Yeah. Right? We're not going to go in and say, yeah, I bet Tyreek Hill is an injury-prone guy. I bet he gets hurt week one. It's like, that's not how you, handicap injuries for fantasy football. So for me, no problem looking at games that have 47.5, 50-point over-unders and just loading up on those games, which this week, for those wondering, the Cowboys game, not on the main slate, Chiefs game, not on the main slate, and those ones have high over-unders. The other ones that are involved in this one, the Ravens, Bills, 50.5-point over-under. The Lions and Packers, 47.5. The Buccaneers and Falcons, 47.5. The Bengals and Browns, 47.5. And then that one there, the Dolphins and Colts, 47.5. So A lot of ways to make it happen.
All right.
Do I
Well,
just
you are
smoke?
on the clock, my friend. I decided I was going to pair up Terry McLaurin with Jaden Daniels. I immediately I had to like remember. I was like, where did Benjamin St. Just go? Right? What team did he go to? And he went to the Chargers this year. He's going to be a starting cornerback for Los Angeles, which music to the ears of many a wide receiver in the AFC West, but not available for this particular draft, which makes me not sad, but maybe a little downtrodden about it. So I'm gonna look to add to my wide receiver core here, and I'm gonna get a little piece of that Bengals Browns game. You just got Joe Burrow. I'm going to grab T. Higgins in my lineup here and make sure that I get a little slice of that action.
Yeah. I mean, that guy that picked Chase, he should have taken Joe Burrow there. That was his chance, So his loss.
Wah, wah,
I could have gone Burrow with T. Higgins stack there, but I'm not super worried about stacking up in this one. I'll take all the points that Burrow gets, and hopefully that'll combat my my playing against you guys. It's not just us versus each other. This is a big tournament, so it's basically you're building a team in these smaller rooms, but then it's you versus 2,500 other people. Winner gets $4,000. There's $25,000 in total prizes. So.
I'm loving on that, baby. I am loving on that. A lot of wide receivers going. I know where I'm going with my next pick here. I know where I'm going.
I know
I
what
don't
I would
want to
do if
say,
I was you. I don't want to spoil anything, but I know what I would do.
you know what you would do if you were me?
Yeah.
Well, what would you do if you were me? Let me hear you. Let me see. Does that jibe with what I'm going to do here?
So I can't even now that I've picked. So I was going to say Terry McLaurin, but you already took him. So now I actually don't know what you're going to do.
Oh, okay. I know exactly what I'm going to do. Just based on. Oh, I can't because Duck took my Chuba Hubbard. That's a little depressing. That's a little sad.
Chuby.
That makes me sad. So instead, I'm going to try and go for how about a little bit of volume. I would normally want to grab Kenneth Walker here, but I think San Francisco is definitely going to be, rock solid at scheming against it. So I'm going to take some volume here with James Conner running up against the Saints. Maybe I'm loading up a little bit too many Arizona Cardinals here, but I think I'm enjoying that. Oh, it's already back to me. Look at you.
Yeah, I was ready to go. You want to stack. That's the thing is you want to stack where you can. Again, stacking teammates and also stacking matchups. So I definitely want to do a few more of these as the week goes on. Maybe we can mix another one on Thursday's show because these kind of rock. And I definitely want to come in with more strategy. My first one here, looking back, I probably should have stacked Burrow with Higgins or not taking Burrow at all. But I feel real good about getting Kittle where I got him, considering where the other guys went. Waiting on tight end also probably a smart move in this because you can kind of take whoever you want. I'll be interested. This guy here at the end, who he takes as his quarterback. Maybe Baker now that he has Evans.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. I really wanted Chuba Hubbard there, Duck.
Yeah,
pissing me off.
There it is. There's the Baker pick.
Mayfield pick. This is it, round 8. These go by. This is gonna be like the equivalent of like eating M&Ms, right?
Yeah,
or opening up a sleeve of Pringles, right? You can't just have one. You just got.
They go by very quick. So okay, I gotta just take best wide receiver available. A lot of options here.
A lot of options here. A lot of options. I know which way I'm going.
What's your last spot you got to fill? Flex?
Flex, yeah.
Are you going RB or wide receiver?
I feel like I might have to go wide receiver here.
There's 2 I like. So if you pick one, I'll take the other.
There's 2 that I like as well. I just don't know which one to grab. This one kind of makes me a little crazy. Do I go with Cortland Sutton, who I know is the number 1, going up against those Tennessee Titans? I don't love that. Is L'Jarius Sneed playing or not? Or do I just take the guy who I think is going to have a baller season and probably debuts in style against a division rival? That's where we go. We take Jamo Williams.
I love that pick.
As my flex.
Since I have Nico Collins already, I'm going to go potential shootout play here with Devontae Adams coming back the other way.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So there
All
you
right.
have it, folks. I went Bijan, auto-drafted Achane while I searched for a player who was on the slate. Nico Collins, Alvin Kamara, Joe Burrow, Tyreek Hill, George Kittle, Devontae Adams. I mean, there's no bad players on this board, right?
No, definitely
Except for
not.
Kyle Pitts. I don't know why that guy took Kyle Pitts there.
But who knows? My team here:
Who knows?
Jaden Daniels, Trevion Henderson, James Conner, Terry McLaurin, T. Higgins, Jerry Judy. That was what I was looking at. Judy. I was also kind of debating: do I not take Judy? Do I take Cedric Tillman? Right? There was a 4-game stretch before Tillman got hurt where him and Joe Flacco, he was averaging 85 yards and a touchdown. Right? That 4-game stretch averaging 85 yards and a touchdown per game. That was something to look at. But I went with Jerry Judy. I figure he probably sees a little bit more volume. Trey McBride going up against the Saints, and then Jameson Williams in my flex spot here, going up against the rival Green Bay Packers.
I love it. I love it. So there you go, folks. Make sure you're getting in. You're checking out drafters. Again, if you go to fantasyalarm.com/draftersbb or just click the QR code there or just go to their site and use promo code ALARM when you make your deposit. First-time depositors get up to $100 in deposit bonuses. Those match 100% of whatever you put in. So you put in 20, they give you 20. You put in 100, they give you 100. Up to 100. So there you go, folks. I'm definitely going to do a bunch of these. But that's it for today on that front. Let's jump in and we'll talk a little bit of waivers just to make sure people are cleaning up their rosters. Did we have any other questions in the chat before we proceed? I don't want to leave anyone behind.
I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. Let's look at the chat. Who's doing what?
We got one. We got one from Ant Dunn here. Stashes for upside. Trey Harris, Jalen Noel, Jalen Royals.
Interesting.
I'll tell you one thing. The thing about Jalen Royals is that we were hoping he would carve out the Rashee Rice role while Rashee Rice is suspended, but Jalen Royals isn't a guarantee to play week 1 himself. So I think Trey Harris is the guy I want first. When I look for my last bench spot, I do factor in how quickly we're going to get the information, right? Like if you put DJ Giddens on your bench, the whole idea of that is, okay, we're going to wait and see if Jonathan Taylor gets hurt and then he'll be the guy if that happens. The problem with that is week 1 happens and then we want to make all these waiver ads and that last guy ends up being dropped. So a lot of times these handcuffs, you're just holding on to them for 1 week and then dropping them. And then, if Jonathan Taylor gets hurt in week 10, now you scramble to pick him up. I like guys where it's like, we're going to find out information week 1, and they might be the guy, they might not be the guy, but if they're not the guy, we can drop them. Like Trey Harris, we're going to find out, is he a full-time player along with Ladd McConkey week 1? Is he just a part-time rookie that's not really playing with Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnson starting? At least you'll get that information, and you're either going to hit big with that player and you keep him, or you got your guy you need to drop this week. So with my very last bench spot, I usually try to lean into somebody that has like some upside right away. So why don't we jump in and start talking about some of those guys?
Let's do it. Where do you want to begin? You want to begin at we'll just start at the top of the quarterback position here?
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
It's easy to start a quarterback. So basically what I do is I go in and I look at Yahoo, ESPN, and Sleeper. And if they're at least under 50% owned on a couple of those sites, then we talk about them, because it's crazy how drastic some of these guys. For instance, a guy like Trevor Lawrence, he's only rostered in like 30% of Yahoo leagues. On Sleeper leagues, it's like 60%. But if you play on Yahoo or ESPN, he's floating around out there. And our own John and Pemba has been talking up Trevor Lawrence big time. He's getting Liam Cohen as running the show, who basically turned Baker Mayfield into a guy who was top 5 in like every category last year. He's got weapons all of a sudden with Travis Hunter. They obviously have Brian Thomas Jr., Brenton Strange. They have a number of different backs that can catch the ball. He's one of those guys that we believe in the talent we have all these years. We just didn't really like the coaches. We didn't like the schemes. We didn't really like the opportunity. Now is the time. So that's the kind of guy I like to throw on the bench and say, okay, let's see what this brand new scheme looks like week 1 for this quarterback we think is talented. If it's awesome, great. If it's not, then we just send it back and go for the next upside play.
I've got a ton of Trevor Lawrence kind of scattered around in different areas. And I agree. I mean, again, if you're looking at, we talk about following the coaches and following the system on the regular. And I think that that's incredibly important, right? And I think that that's something that you need to stay focused on. And Liam Cohen, I mean, tried and true. I mean, yeah, he worked with Baker Mayfield when they were with the Rams together. That's where they first ended up together. And Baker played a couple of games, looked really good. Whatever it was, that kind of clicked. You're hoping if you draft Baker Mayfield this year, you're hoping that whatever it was that clicked with Liam Cohen stays. But now you've got hope here that Liam Cohen brings this to Trevor Lawrence. Now, Lawrence also has a couple of other added things. Now, I know Baker sometimes likes to take off and run and show that he can be athletic, but Trevor Lawrence actually does have the capability of being a mobile QB. So I think that what they're building there in Jacksonville might not be a direct correlation to what they had going in Tampa Bay, but I think it's very close. Like how Denver's rebuilding the Broncos in the old Saints form. I think Liam Cohen's going to try and do that here with Jacksonville as well, but has a little bit more of a mobile upside here with the QB. I definitely can dig on that. You know who else I'm looking at here, Coop? And maybe it's because you got me hooked on Michael Pittman in the 9th round. But when I'm sitting there at the very tail end of my draft, Daniel Jones is just, hi, how are you? I get it, right? He's burned a lot of people. There's not a lot of hope or whatever. But what if? Like you love the mystery box, Coop. I'm going to say what if.
And that's the thing is that the Daniel Jones's ADP got suppressed this offseason because of the quarterback battle. People didn't know who to draft, Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, and they both got pushed down. Like if Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones was named the starter a month ago, they would have definitely passed a bunch of these guys like Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson and all these guys and probably Geno Smith and Sam Darnold. Once people realize that not only does this guy have a ton of weapons, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, Adonai Mitchell, Tyler Warren, Jonathan Taylor, right? But he himself has a year where he ran 120 times for 700 plus yards and 7 touchdowns. That is a true rushing QB season. So like for me, Daniel Jones has to be a guy. If you're, you feel like your quarterback's boring, your starter, they're a little too safe, not enough upside, maybe like a Jared Goff or something. Throw Daniel Jones on the bench just to see. So that's what we're looking at. And yeah, that is exactly the kind of move I like doing. Start Trevor Lawrence week 1 and have JJ McCarthy on the bench just to see what it looks like. The thing about JJ McCarthy is that he's got a ton of weapons, but he's not even going to have Jordan Addison right away. So you have time to kind of put him on the bench and see what it looks like. And then if it looks good early on, he's going to get another top tier weapon added. And it's going to be great. For streamers, let's say your quarterback is JJ McCarthy and you're feeling a little nervous about it, or your guy's a bad matchup, or even if you have a Justin Fields or a Drake May and you're not quite sold right away on starting guys like that. I mean, I'm willing to just let it fly, but there are some guys out there that definitely offer a decent floor. Guys like Tua Tagovailoa against the Colts, 47.5 point over under. Again, we're worried about guys getting hurt down the stretch, but from what I hear, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Darren Waller, and Devon Achane are all going to be playing. So, yes, it's one of the most fragile teams out there, but for 1 week, you could do a lot worse than a guy like that. Also, Matt Stafford, another one where he's going to be good to go. Tua and Devontae Adams are healthy. I mean, these guys at least offer some floor. So they're guys I'd be willing to stream. What are your thoughts on those guys?
I mean, listen, Stafford going up against Houston. Houston's got a good secondary. But, I mean, Stafford's got Puka Nacua and he's got Devontae Adams. Now, I don't know how much time they've spent together because of Stafford's back injury. But you do have, Derek Stingley is there. Who's their other? They've got another cornerback there who's rock solid. I'm blanking on the name right now. But, I do look at that and I take some interest in that play. I think, Tua going up against the Colts, I think that's rock solid. I'm not going to lie, man. I think you could stream Joe Flacco in. Right, I think you can stream Joe Flacco in against the Bengals. Their secondary did not get fixed. Yes, do they have great pass rushing in Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart? Sure. But Joe Flacco, seasoned veteran there, should probably be able to find his weapons downfield. I think that could be, like you said, you pointed out during the draft, it's already got a high over-under point total. I think Flacco could be streamed.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in 2 QB or super flex. Like that's one of the few guys that might not have even got drafted that you could just add and throw in there for this week if you're not feeling good about it. So I love that one. Definitely a DFS play too. For
Yeah, oh,
stashes,
he's like 4,900 on DraftKings.
I love that. I'll definitely have a
Yeah.
Flacco lineup. For QB stashes, again, the idea is to lean into the unknown. Like you're gonna in a single QB league, you're gonna have somebody ready to start for you. You know, Brock Purdy or somebody like that. JJ McCarthy, if he's out there, grab him. But he's rostered in a lot of leagues. I was surprised that he's been drafted in a ton of leagues. The other young upside guys are out there in a lot of spots. Like guys I'm looking at, like Michael Penix, Bryce Young, who really turned it on second half of last year, and then Cam Ward, right? Cam Ward, just a complete unknown guy, but he got picked first overall. He's got Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett's there, Chig Okonkwo. Like you got to leave room for the possibility that these guys all come out and just ball out, So those are the kind of guys I'm stashing. But as of, in most cases, you probably already drafted your starting quarterback and then grabbed the bench spot. So you don't need to go crazy adding guys like that.
Yeah, I don't, like that's the thing. And I also, if you're sitting there with a lot of guys sitting on your waiver wire, like if you see Geno Smith and Matt Stafford and Aaron Rodgers, and if you do see Michael Penix or Bryce Young sitting out there, then maybe you don't have to make that move. The value of a bench spot, like I get it, right? If you don't want to, you don't want your quarterback to get hurt and then be stuck with nobody, but if you're sitting there and you've got Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow, if you've got a Jaden Daniels or, even a Kyler Murray at that point, I don't necessarily know if I want to depends on how deep your benches are. I
Right.
don't necessarily know if there's enough guys sitting on your waiver wire. I don't know if I want to use a spot to stash a QB because, I mean, think about it this way. You're looking at, like, let's say Bryce Young or Michael Penix, who are guys that you could stash, right? What is their ceiling? How much are they going to ball out? Is that something that you need to do now? Or do you kind of want to focus your bench spots more on the running back, wide receiver, kind of, especially when you're looking at like so many wide receiver threes that might be sitting on your waiver wire that might present a little bit more value down the stretch.
Yeah, it needs to be deep benches again, because it's like the thing is, if you already knew you were weak at quarterback, you probably already drafted two, and you have Fields or May or JJ McCarthy who do have a much better path to upside. So I agree, those guys probably better as retroactive ads if they really do pop off than something you want to put on your bench now. Let's hit a couple questions in the chat, and then we'll jump to running back here. Mile High Luke, who are your favorite two out of Elic Iamenar, Pat Bryant, Kyle Williams, Kayshon Boutte?
Well, the whole world is soured on Kyle Williams, haven't they? I don't know if it was the injury and he missed some time, but I guess Boutte's having a strong camp. People are talking a lot about him. I don't know what happened to Kyle Williams, Coop.
I think people are realizing, and me as well, I'm like, he's only a stash for me because people are realizing that what Josh McDaniels likes to do is use a lot of two tight end sets, which we're going to see Austin Hooper and Hunter Henry, and use the fullback at times, which they drafted this guy, Brock Lampy, and they got another guy that could potentially play tight end fullback as well. And what that does is that you really are only going to have two guys out there, and it sounds like it's going to be Diggs and Boutte to start. And DeMario Douglas is probably going to play the three wide receiver sets. So Kyle Williams, potentially more of a developmental prospect. The best paths to starting right now are Elic Iamenar and Kayshon Boutte. If I was going to have two guys, I would probably go with them right now just to see if they come out and play full-time roles, because they could. I mean, there's a real possibility that Iamenar is the guy after Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett's the third guy. Pat Bryant, from what I've been hearing, is he's kind of been operating behind Cortland Sutton, which is good for his dynasty value, but maybe not for the short-term value.
Yeah, I don't really love the short-term value here. Again, dynasty for sure. I like Iamenar. So what would you do? So if the top two, would that be Butte and Bryant for you?
I would go that way just because you can drop you just so you can see if they get the job right away and then you can drop them, if they don't. But I think those are probably the two closest guys to having a role right away. Rate this team. I'll tell you what, nobody knows what's going to happen yet, so it's awesome. And just looking at the names there, Daniels, BTJ, AJ Brown, Gibbs. Yeah, that team's incredible. Is that not only is that a 10-man, that might also have some sort of keeper elements because it looks like you have quite a few guys that go in the first 3 rounds. How did you get? Well, I don't even know. Like, so Gibbs is your first round pick, then BTJ, then AJ Brown was there in the third, and then Jaden Daniels was there in the fourth.
Or maybe
Crazy.
Daniels was there in the third, and the fourth was AJ Brown.
I mean, maybe.
I could see it unfolding in that fashion.
Oh, good job. A Rich is QB2 behind Purdy. Do I drop upside A Rich for Tua, Stafford, or Darnold? Yeah, I mean, the nail in the coffin for me is they made Daniel Jones the captain of the team. I know that doesn't mean everything, but like, how long are you going to have to wait for A Rich to potentially play? I would just get somebody on your team that can contribute for you right away, and that's probably Tua for me.
Okay.
Or would you take Stafford or Darnold over Tua? I take Tua over those guys. Even I love Stafford too, but I take Tua over them.
I mean, Tua definitely has that potential. I mean, he's got the weaponry for it. So does Stafford. I'm not really that interested in Anthony Richardson. There's a reason that not only did the Colts hand the job to Daniel Jones, but they're like saying things like, "Well, we think that Anthony Richardson still has a future with the Colts." There just hasn't been a lot of good talk there. So I would probably look at Tua or Stafford in this case here. Darnold third only because we know it's a run first offense, right?
Yeah.
We know what McDaniel and McVay want to do here with their QBs.
Right. Last one here that we're going to jump in at running back. Drop Elijah Mitchell for Marks, Pierce, or Chris Rodriguez. I would drop Elijah Mitchell at this stage just because he's kind of been falling down the depth chart. I think Woody Marks is probably the most fun if you already have guys on your bench that you can slot in at running back. Then Woody Marks is the most fun. If you actually think that these guys might have to go into your lineup within the first few weeks, then maybe Chris Rodriguez.
Dude, what kind of a league are you in that one of these guys has to go into your lineup for the first few weeks?
I mean, you never
Seriously,
know.
like 16-teamer?
If you go hero or zero RB and you just have like nobody at RB2, maybe.
If you went hero or zero RB and this is what you have, stop playing fantasy. Stop donating. Because this is I love you, Luke, but this is a garbage
I'm sure it's
I'm
sure it's just a last bench upside stash, in which case Woody Marks is definitely the most.
It's
fun.
terrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Right, let's jump in, do some running backs. So I wrote the article on that. That's up right now. The number one guy for me that you got to check your wire for, again, different platforms, he's available or not available. On Yahoo, only 32% of leagues are rostering Trey Benson. And I feel like that's a guy that could potentially give you something similar to what Zach Charbonnet gives you, right? I mean, it's a guy that is going to mix in a little bit. The starter is fairly injury prone. Both Kenneth Walker and James Conner, both players have missed at least one game due to injury in every year of their career, which is 3 years for Kenneth Walker. It's 8 years now for James Conner. And we're hearing good things about the players. It's like the coaches and everybody are talking about Zach Charbonnet. We've heard the coaches talk up Trey Benson. We heard Kyler Murray talk up Trey Benson. We heard Trey Benson talk himself up. We heard James Conner say that we're both RB1s and he's going to play plenty. So that's a guy that I'm trying to get on my rosters, especially in those leagues where I might need somebody and I went hero or zero RB. So that's the number one name that jumps out to me, Trey Benson. Then there's a couple guys that have to be mentioned, Howard, and again, I know some people hate this rule, but it is a rule on some websites. Check your settings on Yahoo and Sleeper. Some of those sites will let you add players and then drop them after they play if they're on your bench. I mean, I try to get that shut off in most of my leagues because it's a lot of work and hassle, but the Chiefs play on Thursday, right? Like you've been saying it this offseason, like Pacheco, kind of just a guy. Kareem Hunt, definitely getting up there. Why not take a look at Brashad Smith, especially if you get a free look, right, Howard?
I mean, if you can get the free look, then sure. But as it stands right now, and I haven't seen anything coming out of Chiefs camp at all that doesn't say that Kareem Hunt doesn't have that pass catching role right now. The red zone work that we know, always happens. I think Brashard Smith, I feel like he's a little bit more of a stash play as opposed to like, you have to add. But if you can take that free
Free
look,
look,
if you
yeah.
add him and it doesn't cost you a bench player, right? If you're moving somebody to IR and then you add a guy like Brashard Smith, that's fine. Just, it's one of those things like if you're only taking the free peek and seeing what his snap count looks like, if his snap count is non existent, you gotta, I mean, I just don't know. I don't know how long you hold on to a guy like that when he's sitting behind veterans the way he is.
You don't. Yeah, that's not a guy that I hold on to unless that guy is exclusive to that rule for me. So the way I'm kind of doing it is this. If I have this is how I'm cleaning up my roster at running back, just to get it out there for my entire strategy. If I can get Tajay Spears or Jalen Wright into an IR spot, I do it. Because it's a free player, having a guy in the IR, right? Marshawn Lloyd in really deep leagues is also IR eligible. I don't know if that's really necessary, but if I can get those guys into an IR spot, I'm going to do it. The free look players, if that's available to you, are Jaden Blue has to be a priority number one because he plays on Friday night. You can get a free look at him. No, he plays on Thursday. You get a free look at him if he's available and see if he's actually going to be involved with Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, right? Brashad Smith also for the Friday game. Will Shipley is also a pure handcuff move where, God forbid, Saquon Barkley gets hurt on Thursday. That's a guy that could potentially, be in a major role for that team. So that's how I'm handling kind of the stashing and bench stashing. Other than that, you're just looking at either your own handcuffs or like the high quality handcuffs like DJ Giddens or Brian Robinson, right? For streamers, is anybody on your radar, Bender, that if somebody out there is kind of panicking? I know you've been looking at a lot of DFS as well, which has a lot of overlap. Anybody out there that you're kind of like, okay, you know what? If you need somebody to get you some floor, these guys are probably out there in a lot of leagues.
No, because I'll tell you what, if you're coming out of your draft and you're going into week one and you're trying to figure out who you're going to stream in at running back, then you drafted horribly. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it here. This first week, you shouldn't have to stream anybody in. I mean, unless you did something massively stupid, like grabbing Rashee Rice and Quinshon Judkins and Jordan Addison, and like all of a sudden you're like, oh, geez, I don't know what I'm going to do. You should know who your starters are. It's week one, people. If you didn't draft properly, then you really only have yourself to blame, and you probably should have come to us in chat a little bit sooner than the day before being like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I got to stream in a guy for week one. You shouldn't be streaming guys in. If you're looking for streamers or DFS plays, again, the watch list is going to come out today. But for your season-long leagues, if you're sitting here and you're like, what matchup do I want? What matchup do I want? Like, come on.
Now that
what did you do?
Now that you've been thoroughly chastised by Howard Bender, if you did screw up your draft and you did draft like Najee Harris and Quinshon Judkins and Jalen Wright and all these guys, especially if you drafted early in the season, if you did go crazy drafting those guys and this is the first waiver run, then sorry, you just got yelled at by Howard. But here are a couple.
I'm not sorry. No, forget sorry. It's tough love. Like, you cannot come out of your draft and walk into week one and be like, I don't know who I'm going to use.
What if you're in the Scott Fish Bowl and you drafted back in July and the first waiver run is tomorrow and your running backs that you drafted were Brian Robinson, Najee Harris, Quinshon Judkins, and Jalen Wright? Then you might have to pick somebody up and stream them. Here are just a couple names. Jerome Ford versus the Bengals is available in a lot of spots. Rachaad White versus Atlanta. He'll catch some passes. Also, if it's really deep, Justice Hill, when they have tough matchups, catches a lot of passes. Last year in the regular season game against Buffalo, he got 6 targets, caught all 6. He's playing Buffalo on Sunday night. So that's it. But yes, you probably should already know who you're starting, to Howard's point. So we can move on.
I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't sit there. I mean, listen, we cover so much during draft season and we talk about it, over and over again. To leave yourself no possible outs for week one. I mean, that's just That's
Yeah.
gross. It's terrible. I'm against it. It means you didn't follow the blueprints, you didn't follow the plans, and you didn't think it through the way we've like implored you to think it through over the first couple of weeks. Yes, you're getting yelled at from me because if listen, you could lose your first 4 weeks of the season. I don't give a crap about that. We'll still help you, scratch and claw your way to a championship. But if you've gotten to a point here and it's week 1 and you're like, I don't know who I'm going to use in my starting lineup, you drafted horribly and you deserve to lose.
Yeah. Birdie, Justice Hill is only a guy you use if you have to start him. Keaton Mitchell's the better stash if you're just putting him on the bench. So, like, Justice Hill will probably outscore Keaton Mitchell this week, but Keaton Mitchell has much higher upside if something happens to Derrick Henry. So that's a better stash for you. Wide receivers, there has been some movement over the last couple weeks. So there's a couple guys that might have increased in value. Check for Darnell Mooney now that he's back at practice. Xavier Legette became a lot more interesting once they traded away Adam Thielen and put Jalen Coker on IR. That just recently happened. So check your waiver for Xavier Legette. And then of the Chiefs wide receivers, Hollywood Brown now that Jalen Royals is banged up and Rashee Rice is suspended 6 games, he's actually out there in a decent number of leagues, and he'll probably be the wide receiver 2 behind Xavier Worthy to start the year, right? For 6 games, probably.
I think Marquise Hollywood Brown has the upside of being a wide receiver 3 or a flex play this
Right.
week. I mean, again, I said it before at the start of the broadcast. Benjamin St-Juste is floating around that secondary, right? And we all know, where's Greg Martinez? Where's my boy Greg? He'll tell you that Benjamin St-Juste is a terrible guy, right? So yeah, if you're looking at the Chiefs wide receivers and there's no Rashee Rice, then yeah, Xavier Worthy and Marquise Hollywood Brown are definitely good, strong options. I'd rather look at Marquise Brown than look at a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Juju, not even on my radar, man. So Marquise Brown, I mean, again, Marquise Brown at the end of last year came back and played 2 regular season games, 7 targets and 8 targets. So he could get some of those screens. Chiefs lead the league in wide receiver screens virtually every year. They love doing it. So, yeah, tough love today. So,
Thank you, Ann Dunn. You know what I'm talking about there. She knows.
I'm going to save everyone the similar rants for wide receivers. If you have to start one of these guys, you're stupid and you're in trouble. Okay.
I didn't say you were stupid. I said you draft terribly.
You did a terrible
big
job.
difference there. You can be the smartest person in the world. If you don't know how to draft in a fantasy football league.
Right. So, okay, here we go. Hollywood Brown is a streamer until Rashee Rice gets back. Adam Thielen is a potential streamer until Jordan Addison gets back. Keenan Allen is a guy that's averaged 9 targets a game over the last few years. He's familiar with Justin Herbert. He could be a guy early on for them. As Howard mentioned earlier, Cedric Tillman is an interesting name for especially this week against the Bengals. If you're freaking out and you got to put somebody in the lineup. And then full PPR, Demario Douglas is kind of a guy that has a decent floor, not that great a ceiling, but it's just a name you can throw in there versus Vegas because they don't have a good defense either. For stashes, I was surprised to see this is a player I was not drafting at all, but I was surprised to see how available Brandon Ayuk is, especially on like Yahoo, not owned in close to 50% of leagues. Like if you can make waiver moves now and you have an IR spot, pick him up, put him in the IR spot, pick up another player. It's a free look at a player, right? Like always have somebody in your IR spot if you have one. After that, pick your favorite rookie name. Doesn't matter who it is. Luther Burden's available in a lot of leagues. Dude, I was drafting my brother-in-law, Howard, and it was cracking me up because he's pretty plugged in, but he didn't really know a lot about the rookies. He's like, what do you think about this guy, Luther Bruden the third? He goes, Luther Bruden the third, my father. I'm like, this is Burden, dude. But Luther Bruden, if his name was Luther Bruden, I would have moved him up 2 rounds in my draft because that's a dope name. Isaac Tesla is a name to know. Torrey Horton's a name to know. Again, these are going to be very deep leagues, but these are guys where the team, there was hype around them, and then the team made actual moves, right? The Lions traded Tim Patrick for Isaac Tesla to have a bit more role. The Seahawks cut Marquez Valdez-Scantling. that is tangible movement. So know the names. You might not need to actually add them to your roster, but put them on the watch list. That's about it for me, unless there's anybody else you're thinking about for wide receiver.
No, I think that kind of covers it. And just so everybody knows, like some of these names, like Torrey Horton or
Tesla, yeah.
Tesla, like if you're in a 10-teamer, probably not.
No.
Like 12-team, 14-team, possible stashes just to see what develops, but 10-teamer, probably not. Let's talk tight ends.
Tight ends, let's go. All right. So from the guys that are rostered in less than 50% of leagues, if I'm going to start someone this week, it will probably be Hunter Henry. He's available in a lot of leagues. He is, he got 97 targets last year. He's probably the second target on the team behind Stephon Diggs. He's got a pretty good matchup against Las Vegas. So if he's out there, that's the guy I'm going with. The other top two ads, especially if I'm starting someone like Hunter Henry, if I'm looking for an upside play on my bench or even someone to just throw in a lineup, Chiga Okonkwo could carve out a role, could be the second target on his team, and Mason Taylor. I mean, Mason Taylor, the rookie, it's Josh Reynolds, it's Alan Lazard. He could easily be a top two target on that team. So those are the guys to prioritize. You probably should already have somebody ready to go streaming wise, but everybody knows the kind of boring but safe names out there. Guys like Jonnu Smith, Mike Gesicki, Dalton Schultz, I guess you could throw on there. And then on the bench, we're just looking for guys that have some sort of path to being a top two target on their team. A guy like Jatavian Sanders, now that Adam Thielen's gone and Jalen Coker's on IR, take a look at a guy like that. In very deep leagues, maybe just throw Darren Waller on the bench, see if there's anything left in the tank. But it's got to be a deeper league just to see what that looks like, because he has gotten, I think, 4 practices in this entire summer. So just know what you're getting into there. Just to wrap it, so that's what we're looking at for tight end again. You don't want to go too much deeper than that. For defense,
you don't want to go any deeper than that, people. If you're going deeper than that, get out.
You're getting crazy. Defense, the number one streamer this week, John Kemba just drafted him in a draft I did with him yesterday. Arizona Cardinals are going to go up against Spencer Rattler this week. Easy as that. And Jonathan Gannon finally had his opportunity to build his defense. This offseason, last year they went out and they got Marvin Harrison and Trey Benson and all these guys. This year they spent all their offseason on the defense. So it should be a little bit better. The other one that's more of a kind of a longer-term play is the New England Patriots. They spent a ton of money on the defense. They went and got Milton Williams. They went and got Robert Spillane. They already had Christian Barmore and Christian Gonzalez. But even more so than what they built is the schedule is very soft in the first half of the season. There's only one tough game against the Bills, really. The rest are all winnable. They don't have a bye week to week 14, which we love. Like if they're getting it done for you, it's just nice to have that in your back pocket. For kicker, same thing. You could throw Andy Borregales in there as a guy for the Patriots, who's a very soft schedule. But Cam Little is a name that I noticed is just out there in a ton of leagues available, and he was good last year. And we expect the Jaguars to be better this year with Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence in the gang. So I was surprised by Cam Little not being drafted. But the thing is, there's so many. I feel like
I know, right? You kick a 70-yard field goal, and you're on everybody's radar all of a sudden, right?
I was kind of surprised by that. On Sleeper, he's rostered in a ton, but I guess ESPN and Yahoo maybe not as sharp over there. I don't know. He's available, widely available. So definitely, if you're, I don't know, you should have your kicker. But a lot of people don't draft a kicker and then they stash somebody and then they need to add somebody. Every Sunday morning, I get a million questions that are, I got to drop somebody for a kicker. Who do I add? Cam Little is the guy you're adding.
Yeah, there you go. Matty Randoms wants to know Jake Elliott or Ryland.
I would just go with Elliott against the Cowboys. Ryland is interesting for the Cardinals going against the Saints, but I mean that's a dome game. I'm starting Jake Elliott though. It's just a better team. More like the Eagles are 7.5 point favorites, right? Like you don't get there without scoring points. So I think Elliott's definitely a safe play.
Yeah, I agree. Just jumping back onto the defensive note there, as far as Arizona goes, Arizona is actually a team that can probably take you through first 5 of the 6 weeks.
Yeah.
If you look at their schedule, I mean, their schedule is It's super tasty as far as like the beginning of the season. Saints, Panthers, the Niners on the road is going to be a tough one for them, but then they got the Seahawks, which is a run first offense, Titans, Colts. So I mean, right off the bat, there, 5 out of the first 6 games, definitely, they're going up against guys who could be turning the ball over a little bit more. And I know that everybody just sits there and they look at defenses and they just spend all their time chasing the touchdown. This might be that team that just kind of locks you in. You take some lumps, right, against the 49ers, who really aren't as potent as they used to be, right? So if you look at that one game and you say, oh, maybe they get me 3 or 4 points in that game, there's definitely more upside there in those games against the Saints and the Panthers, the Titans and the Colts. So I would definitely kind of, lock in on that front for sure.
Right. And they have the tough game against the Packers, but that's right before their bye week anyway. It goes Packers, bye week, Cowboys. So just start, after the first month or so, start planning on finding somebody. That's what you got to do. But it's like the thing with drafting an elite defense, with those defenses, you're still going to have tough matchups. You know what I mean? Like if you went and paid for the Bills and the Ravens, congratulations. Week 1, they're playing each other, right? Like the Eagles defense, a lot of people drafting them first, their schedule's tough. So you're going to have some tough matchups there. And we don't know, teams like the Patriots and the Cardinals, they had a very defensive minded offseason. We never know who the kind of breakout defenses are going to be. So could get lucky, could get real lucky. Just know with the Patriots, as easy as their first half schedule is, once they hit that bye week, it is gross. So you're going to need to settle in. It goes Buffalo, Baltimore, Jets for fantasy playoffs. So, by that time, your lineup is pretty much set, and you can even afford to use a bench spot on a defense if you need to add somebody at that point. So that's what we're looking at today. Anything else you wanted to hit on before we get everybody out of here, Bender?
We just got a couple of quick questions here in the chat. I want to just pop in here. Jacob Uribe wants to know, would you trade A.J. Brown in return for Joe Burrow and Cortland Sutton? Yes, I would. It just depends on who my current quarterback is right now, right, whether I actually need a quarterback, right? Who do you have with A.J. Brown, Jacob? So if you can pop in and ask us that would be fantastic.
Be careful doing that, Jacob, in a shallow league as well. If it's a shallow league, you're going to need to drop a meaningful player, and the other kid is going to add a good player, maybe even just add the player you drop. Like that kid might be tricking you into doing a 2-for-2 where you're going to drop somebody good, so just be careful with those trades in the shallow leagues.
Yeah. James Conner going up against the Saints or Tet McMillan in his debut for a flex. You got any thoughts on that?
James Conner, man. I love having Tet McMillan on my bench just because I want to see what it looks like once, Start James Conner, and if Tet McMillan's awesome, then you're going to start him for the rest of the year, and you got your rookie breakout, and that's great. But James Conner is a great player.
Matty Rando's Packers D long-term or Arizona long-term. Just take it week by week here. For the first 6 weeks, use Arizona. I get, you got the Packers, Micah Parsons, definitely going to be an improved defensive squad there. But Arizona they're lined up right now. Packers are going to have a lot of tough games against the NFC North opponents.
The Packers also have the very first bye week. So they have bye week 5, which means that during the month of September, you're going to need to figure out what you're doing, right? Because, the first 4 weeks are all in September. So you're going to need to, if you start with the Packers, are you going to start them against the Lions week 1? And then are you going to start them against Washington? Are you going to start them against Dallas? Like, if at all possible, and I know people say never do this, but it's not crazy to kind of keep a defense in your back pocket, because I do like the Packers, but their schedule stinks, and you have to pick up another defense week 5.
Yeah. All right. Jacob Uribe says that he's got Jared Goff as his quarterback. So you know what? Yes, I would trade for Joe Burrow and Cortland Sutton. I'd give him A.J. Brown, and I would drop Jared Goff off of my team.
Yeah.
It's probably where I would go. That's probably where I would go. He's got T. Higgins and Jerry Jeudy as well. So your 1-2 punch would be T. Higgins and Cortland Sutton. I don't have an issue with that. Yeah, moving from Goff to Burrow.
I just love A.J. Brown, but I think it's a big enough upgrade from Goff to Burrow. So I can do it.
And then let's wrap things up here with some final thoughts here on Breece Hall. You got any?
Yeah, I mean, the guy's awesome. We don't know what this new team's going to look like, but his path to targets at least is pretty darn good. He could have 100 targets. You know what I mean? It's basically him versus Mason Taylor as far as fantasy goes. So I have a ton of Breece Hall this year, and I've again another player I've been shocked at how affordable he's been in drafts, and he's probably affordable in trades.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched him. I just watched him in a draft I just covered. He dropped to the 5th round. I'm perfectly fine with him. I don't necessarily think, and I've said this before, he's a free agent at the end of the year.
Right.
What do teams do with running backs who are free agents? They load them up on volume. And I think you're going to see a lot of that as well. I don't think Braylon Allen is all that impressive. So I'm okay there. But all right, Coop, as we wrap things up here, Ann Dunn wants to know our show schedule. Now that the season is here, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Alarm Fantasy Football, 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube page. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you'll get notifications when we go live. We're going to be doing the same thing that we did last year. We did our waiver wire, waivers on Tuesday. Then we talk, what do we do? Oh, we talk trades on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we do your lineup choices.
Yep.
Over there. That's how it's going to break down. And then Coop, you're bringing back the Fantasy Fiasco, right?
Just like the last few years, on Friday, I'm going to have a guest on, and we're going to do a weekly lineup and talk through each game slate, saying here are the stars, here are the streamers. That's what we're going to do on Friday. So it's going to be good.
All right. And Travis, just so you know, quick take on Kyler Murray. I love him. Guy's going to run for 40, 50 yards, going to poach a touchdown. That's good, solid points there. If he can truly make it through his progressions and find Marvin Harrison downfield more than just dumping it off to Trey McBride, I think it's a banner year for Kyler Murray. If you miss out and, if you're talking about your drafts and stuff like that, if you have a draft tonight, tomorrow, I rank him right behind Bo Nix, but still up there.
I rank him ahead of Bo Nix. I like Kyler a lot. He's had, this guy in his career, his teams have averaged 23.5 points per game, and Joe Burrow's teams are averaging 24. I think he's one of the most misunderstood quarterbacks. He's had one of the worst defenses. He's been in one of the toughest divisions. Totally misunderstood player, and he's like QB 8 all time in fantasy points per game. So I got plenty of Kyler Murray. I got an article up on just Kyler Murray over at fantasyalarm.com. So, but that'll do it for us today then, right?
That's going to do it for us here today once again. And hey, listen, if you don't have an all-pro subscription, people, if you're not part of the family, now's the time to get in on it right now. And we're even running, here's the little QR code right up there in the top corner. We're still running that 7-day free trial. Go to fantasyalarm.com/win, right? Use that promo code. There's a ton of promo codes you could use. If you get the annual subscription, do annual 25. If you do the monthly subscription, do monthly 25, right? Draft 25 works also. You can end up, getting, subscribing, taking a free look at us for our first week, see how we do in DFS, see how we do in betting, and then ride and die with the family here this year. I promise you, you're not going to be upset. fantasyalarm.com/win. Promo code draft25.
Become part of the family.
Be a part of the family. Absolutely. Coop, any final thoughts?
That's it, brother.
All right. I got one final thought for everybody, and that is
adios, turd nuggets.